Om Shanti, and warm welcome to this interview with Raj Yogi. And the topic tonight is understanding the greatness of purity. So we'll take a moment for reflection. My inner world of thoughts and feelings and attitudes is very sensitive on a subtle level. The more subtle an energy becomes, the more impact it has. And thoughts, feelings, and attitudes are very subtle. And have a deep impact on the self and on others. Pure thoughts have a very uplifting effect. Thoughts that recognize the value. Pure thoughts for the self, pure thoughts for others, recognizing the value of the self and others. Any other thoughts drain the energy and can cause spiritual damage. To recognize I am a soul. And my intrinsic state is goodness. To see what is eternal is pure. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. And welcome to Interview with Raj Yogi. So just to let souls know, we will be shortening tonight's session. And so tonight's topic, the greatness of purity. So during the reflection, when you were sharing about pure thoughts, I was thinking about just thoughts in general. What do you feel is the difference with just repeating something positive to yourself? And there's like these affirmations, because I think that souls just think of just have good thoughts.
I don't think there's any harm in having good thoughts, definitely, but there's much deeper impact depending on how I'm experiencing that thought, how real it is to me. So that which is more real, authentic, sincere, obviously has a greater impact. We can feel that when someone's speaking to us about something, trying to maybe sell us something. And if they're doing it without their heart in it, it doesn't have as much impact as when they deeply believe in what they're speaking about.
How about some individuals who are very charismatic? They can be very good at being sales people.
Mm-hmm. I think when someone perhaps is charismatic, there is a lot of power in that soul. So anything they do is going to have some extra oomph to it, if you will. So obviously being very careful on what they're trying to sell, it will have power.
So it's not necessarily they don't have heart, but their heart has just a lot of charisma, regardless of what it is. And the other thing I was really thinking about was pure thoughts. I know we always bring that up all the time, but now just for those who may not have heard about this conversation of pure thoughts, if you can just remind them, that was just online, about the difference between pure thought versus positive thought before I ask my next question.
The way that we explore it is that pure thoughts are connected to a few things, and not connected to a few things, but connected to what is true or eternal. So that can be a big difference over positive. but also pure thoughts come from a place of contentment. They're not really outcome focused per se. There is that pure desire for benevolence, but very free from what that might look like. Whereas positive tends to be quite outcome result focused. So there is little desires in there. I want this to happen, very specific.
Do you feel that there are pure thoughts I need to have to be able to have an experience myself? And then other kinds of pure thoughts emerge from that, just when you're saying they're not outcome focused.
What we experiment with is having thoughts about our eternal state. So, again, based on truth. And the more I do that, the more of a pure thinker I become.
Do you feel it's possible then that someone may not be able to tell the difference between a pure thought and a positive thought? In terms of they wouldn't be able to feel that it is their eternal self.
Well, positive thoughts, they can be quite lovely, very appreciative, but they can also lead to, if the outcome is not fulfilled, to disappointment or reactivity where that wouldn't be happening with a pure thought. A pure thought's very clean.
So I know tonight's topic is the greatness of purity. So what inspired you to say, I think that this was the topic that you wanted to share about tonight?
I've just been feeling it's so critical. It's really the thing that's lacking in the world. Really, you could say it lacks imagination. It's very easy to go into what we call seeing what's the weaknesses of others, defects of others, thinking that I'm the victim, blaming others. This has become very easy sometimes. And it is the exact opposite of what's needed at this time. We really need to be looking at what is eternal, which is always very pure and beautiful and valuable, and not getting caught up in this person did that, or it really isn't helping.
Do you feel you can ask someone who's not been practicing Raj Yoga to be able to do that?
I think that we can at least, and this is why we say understanding the greatness, at least start to reflect on it. So perhaps on their own, they might start to realize the importance.
What have you felt is the impact when your soul consciousness to be able to observe that level of purity?
Yeah, well, I think again, that's the first thing that we're asked to think about. The first pure thought is pure consciousness, and that obviously is a precursor for all other pure thinking.
Have you noticed a difference then when you're practicing soul consciousness that there's less resistance?
I think
To
it's
be
more
able
natural.
to really observe that level of purity?
I think it really comes more naturally. The capacities of the soul work differently when we're soul conscious, and how we see is very different when we're soul conscious. There's a lot more understanding.
It's interesting when we hear the word soul consciousness. I think perhaps maybe souls think it means just thinking on a soul.
Ultimately, the essence of spirituality, which is often used interchangeably with purity, is to be able to move through the world without taking. And so that's really what Raj Yoga is set up to do, is to get us to that place. So when we say that we are a soul, we're starting on this journey towards becoming full and content. So obviously it's going to be a little bit more than just saying it or imagining a point of light in the center of my forehead, but really starting to free the self from old ways of operating is huge with soul consciousness.
How do you feel? What do you mean by being able to free oneself versus I just shouldn't be affected? Would you feel that it's been like an experience that you're just capable of being able to let go?
I think it's the sign that I am effectively being soul conscious if I start to become disinterested or not needing those old ways of operating, of taking, and just start to feel very differently about the old ways I used to operate. That's really the sign I've become soul conscious.
Lately, I've been just really reflecting on that difference between the two, of actually going into that experience and trusting that it actually changes you versus you might actually intellectualizing it and trying to be a certain way.
I think we always, this aim and objective that I'm adopting a method with the objective to achieve a certain stage or be liberated from something that really is quite damaging. So we don't just want to do the thing, but actually enjoy the benefits of doing the thing. And that's a sign that I actually am doing the thing. So with soul consciousness, to say I am a soul, and this redefining of self means I'm not doing activities that would be feeding the body consciousness. That's really what our actions became, is just to keep feeding the body consciousness, the image. So become free from that need to feed the image.
What would you share then with someone who doesn't really know the difference between the two? Positive affirmations, and especially in terms of this topic, the greatness of purity, for them to realize that this is very, very different, very unique.
Time again, our study, we suggested to be very respectful of whether or not we actually share. So for me, I'm always saying, does that soul seem to be interested? I'm not going to force anything on anyone. But if someone does seem interested, they probably are already thinking about it and just looking for a method to adopt, so it becomes very easy. So I think that's really key, to be respectful of where a soul is at.
Perhaps maybe I should reword my question. So it wasn't really about convincing as much as perhaps maybe what have you felt that you could feel in terms of sensing when something is pure versus something that might seem good?
I think that it's really looking at what is the inner state. When we talk about positive thinking, again, it is very appreciative, it's beautiful, and it's included in pure thinking, but it tends to be very outcome focused, things out there. Pure thinking really takes a lot of focus on the self and income thinking. And that's really where the difference is that this idea of when I change, the world changes, however you want to say it, but to really have a very different experience of the self is the focus of pure thinking. And that's very unique.
Feel that the feelings, the vibration will be different.
It is. It's based a lot on self-respect. So again, someone without that self-respect can definitely, have positive thoughts, but it's a very different feeling. And I think that it's far more, if you will, unconditional and unlimited when there is that self-respect. So in various situations, when souls insult, whatever, there's a bunch of different scenarios, but it would be more constant.
Feels deeper and more stable. Well, this is like a pop-up interview because perhaps maybe we'll have a little reflection.
All right. I go inside to see if there are just pure feelings for the sound. Is the sense of my own value based on external aspects, skills, outcomes, roles? Or is the value of the self independent of what's going on outside? Completely resting on the experience of being a soul. I, the soul, am intrinsically valuable. I am life itself. Without me, nothing will function. And my innate original state is goodness. All the values we seek in the world can be found within me: peace, love, truth, light. going into the very, very simple experience of being a soul is pure thoughts for the self. And from that, more pure activity can unfold. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. So we always welcome souls to join with the actual experience of soul consciousness. So those are the evening meditation experience sessions on the Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and Sundays online, 6:30 to 7:30 on the YouTube channel. We also have that on site as well at the Northeast Center. It's on Fridays, 6:30 to 7:30. I also want to remind souls of the upcoming Raja Yoga Foundations course that's happening on the Wednesdays of September, 6:30 to 8 o'clock. And there's also the Raja Yoga full course in Hindi. And the dates, I believe, are, quick second here, would be September 10th, 11th, 17th, and the 18th. And those are half-day workshops, 12 o'clock to 3:30. But feel free to visit the center's website to register or for other upcoming sessions. Thank you for joining with us.